Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to today's tutorial on Android development. And just like you always know, my tutorial are always beginners focused. That is, whether you've created an Android app before, you have little experience of it, or you don't have any ground idea of what and to code or to develop Android applications, I'm going to be walking you through the basics of Android app development, explaining the codes line by line. And we have so many projects in front of us to actually execute. We're going to be taking it steady by steady, line by line. All right, so once you open your Android Studio, if you don't know how to open Android Studio, please check my previous videos on how to install Android Studio. So make sure you just launch the Android Studio. You'll be faced with this new project interface. Make sure that you have selected this empty views activity, then click on next. All right, for this section, package name, you're going to have com.example.myapplication.com. Please just change this example at the middle, which I have changed to Dion's, to anything you actually want to use as your name. All right, then the application name, then for the language, we'll be using Java for today. So just select Java. And for the minimum SDK, we'll be using Android 21. Okay, so that this particular project can be supported on so many projects. For example, if I decide to use 24, okay, let me just stick with 24. You can see 97% of devices can use our app, and that is still okay. All right, then just leave this as the recommended one. Though before now I used to use Groovy, but now let's just stick with the recommended Gradle file. Now click on finish, and this will begin to generate our files. Make sure that you are connected to the internet, because this will download some dependencies that are required for our project to run successfully. All right, the layout we'll be creating for today is the layout I'll be displaying on screen, just like you can see. So we want to create this sign up layout in Android, that is in Android Studio. So we want to look at how we can develop this sign up layout. So we're going to follow this step by step. All right, in the video description, there's a link to where I have explained each of the section of this code line by line. Peradventure, if you don't understand why we have some of these tags or widgets in our code. All right, let's just get into it already. So I'll open my Android Studio, and this is what you have after the dependency needed for the project has fully downloaded. All right, so this is just what you have. The first thing we want to do is we are going to change the layout of our design. So instead of using a constraint layout, I'm going to use a different layout this time around. So I'm going to be using a linear layout. So let me just have my code here, then you see exactly what we'll be having. So I'll just change this to linear layout. So then for linear layout, we have to define how our items are arranged. So we use the term orientation, that is the flow with which our app follows. So I'll use vertical, which means that they have to go from top to the bottom. Okay, so I can either remove all of other things here. I don't actually need them for now, or let's just leave that. That won't do us any bad. All right, so the next thing I want to do now is, if you look at our layout here, our design, you'll see that we have this create text, then after which we have this login and sign up panel. So let's take that one after the other. So the first thing I'm going to be adding now is I'm going to be adding this text create. And before I do that, I want to declare all of my colors so that it will be easier for us to pick our color without having to write the code repeatedly. So I will just go back to my Android Studio now, then I will locate this file. Peradventure, if you are still having your own folder structure like this, just unfold this, come to regs, and we can come to layout. This is our design file here, this one that is currently open. Then under values, you see this color. This is where we define our color. By default, this is how your color will look like. So I'm going to add some other color that I'll be needing here. If I press Ctrl D, it should duplicate that particular line that I have, and I can do it multiple times depending on how many I want. So the first color I'm going to be defining here is blue color. Then I will give it my hexadecimal color for blue. Then I'm going to have black color. I'm going to have yellow, ash, and maybe some shade of black also. So for blue, I'm going to be having 2E, and that's 346E, 346E. Okay, so that's what I will have for blue, and you can see it's showing some kind of blue color here. Then I'm also going to have another color, which is, I'll call that gray or ash, and I'm going to set my color code for ash, which is CCD 0dB. 0dB. Okay, then I'm going to have another, which is FFBB 00, and I'm going to call that one yellow, just like you can see here. So anytime I need to call or use this color, I can just call that particular name. So I'll duplicate again, and this time around I'll have black shade. Not yellow black shade, just black shade. So I'm going to define my color for the black shade, and that's going to be 32363E. And lastly, I need one more color, which is this other color. I will declare E, and that is 3B3F48. all right, so I'll call it another black shade 2. I can give that black shade 2 anyways. So with this, I have the colors I'm going to be using in my design. All right, now, so the next thing I want to do is to come back to this layout now and begin to go on with my layout. So the first thing I want to have is I'm going to modify this text content here, and I'm changing the text to create account. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to paste my entire code here. I'm just going to paste that here, and that will save me a lot of time. All right, so I have pasted my color here, my what's it called, my layout code here, but we are going to have some errors which I'm going to fix actually. So starting from this section, we have this create text, which is this one that is here at the top. We have that create text, we have this button. So I'll start by fixing this layout here. Excuse me. So I need to have this color as a container background. So we need to define this container background so that we can have that color in our code. So I will come to the drawable folder, right click on new, and click on new drawable resource file. Okay, so I'm going to give it that name that we have called here, which is container bg. So I'll say container underscore bg.xml. So, and the root, I'm going to change that to shape, not selector. So then I'll click on OK. So here I'm going to define my what's it called, my background. So what I want to have is this. Let me just close this section for now. So I'm going to, inside this, I'm going to have a corner radius, that is how curved the edges will be. So I'll just say corners. So I can say, okay, if I want to declare a different radius for the edges, that is this edge, this edge, this edge, I can use to top right, top left, bottom right, bottom, but I just want to define a uniform curve for each side. So I'll just set only radius. So in that way, they will all have 25 dimension pixel as the curve edge. Okay, that is for these edges. All right, so after doing that, the next thing is the stroke, that is the border color. Sorry, that's not capital. So I'm going to define the stroke color. So what is the color I'm going to be using for my stroke? I can use any of my defined color, be it black shade 1 or black shade 2, and that is that. You can see that I don't need to write the color code again. I just need to call on the color. So another thing I would define is how wide that stroke will be. So I'm just going to set it to 1 dimension pixel, which should be about not visible actually, but we don't really need a stroke. So the next thing I'm going to define here is the color for the background. So I want to fill in a color for the background. So I'll say Android color, and I can pick on one of those color. So I can say black shade 2 or black shade 1, and you definitely see that color here. All right, so after setting the solid color, the next thing I want to add is, that is optional actually, I can decide to add some padding to the background or not. All right, so let's just save this and let's come back to our main activity. Let's allow this to load up. You'll see that will apply to this item here. So I'm still waiting for that to load up anyway. So while that is doing, I'm going to change this to just black shade, not black shade gradient. Yeah, okay, I'll use 2. So let's wait for this to come up, then we move on. All right, so while that is coming up, the next thing I want to do is I want to set my what's it called, this my button color to black shade 2. Then I'm going to fix some things here. All right, let me quickly explain some things here. The first line we have is an ID. We give this particular field an ID, which is what we can use to call this when we need to write the Java code to make this run. So the ID, this particular field, will be called by this name in any part of our programming or our code. All right, then width match parent means that it's going to be as wide as the container it is. You can see that this background is coming in already, so you can see everything here is visible. Okay, then let me go back to the top. At the top here, I had a background image. I set this image as my background. So if you go back to your project structure under drawable, I have copied and pasted this image. So if I go to my, what's it called, my document file, I already have this image, which is available in the video description. I've put a link where you can get that background there. So just copy this particular image, right click on copy. So when you click on copy, right click on drawable and click on paste. So it will ask you if you want to paste that. Just click on OK, then you have that image. Then you can set it as the background of the entire container, just like we have it here. All right, so that's that. Then the next thing is the text. We have the text for the width. It should just be as wide as the length of the text. The height should just be as high as the length of the text. The content to display is create text. The gravity center means that this text will be aligned to the center. If I remove this line, it will actually come to the edge of my screen here, but I don't want that. I want it to be at the center here, so that's why I set that gravity to center. You can see we have layout gravity center. If I remove this now, see what happened to my text. So I need to set this layout gravity to center. Text size, I set it to 26 size points, and I make my text bold. Margin top, the spacing before this, I set it to 70. The color for the text, which is this yellow, I set it here. So if I don't want to use this particular color, I can just cut this color from here. So that I can always call this color anytime in my code. I can say, okay, it should be found from this directory color, then maybe yellow underscore 2. So I have to define this yellow, else I'll be having error. So I have to go back to my color and define another yellow color. So I'll just say Control D. Then this will be the code I've copied, and I can say yellow CWO. So now we have that color defined under our color section. All right, so that will actually change with time. Just leave that. So now let's go on. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that all these icons before our input field are there. So I'm going to set all these icons. So how do I get that? All I have to do is come back to my project structure, right click on drawable, click on new, and go to vector assets. So I'm going to be having this as my first one. If you don't know how to get this, just click on this clip art. When you click on this clip art, just type in person here and that will come up for you. So select it. Once you select person, just click on OK. Then you have this. So I'm just going to say this is IC person. So I'll click on next and finish. So I'll also have for email, I also have for phone number and all of that. So we have icon for email, phone, and lock. That's for password. All right, so let's go back to our code. I'm going to have more of that. So I'll go for this again, vector assets. Then this time around it to be email or envelope, either of the two. Either you search for email or envelope. So I'll have email, and I will say I see email. Then I'll have that. Then I'll have for phone number. Let's go again for phone number. So you can decide to use any that is okay with you actually, but I'll go for this. And lastly, I'll go for the security panel. All right, with this now I have all the icons I need for my input feed. So all I just have to do is come to each of this input feed and change the drawable icon that I have there. So for this particular one to be email, I'll just change this to email. And for this phone number, it will be phone. And lastly, for password, I don't even think I added that initially, so I just have to add that drawable. And I'll have at drawable /lock. All right, so I think that is fine by me. All right, so we have all those icons set already. We have it set already. So one thing I want to make sure is that we have drawable padding, that is the padding before the icon set to 10, so that they can have enough spacing between them. So drawable padding is here. Okay, so with this now we have, let me close this section, we have our layout already. All right, so if you have any question regarding this, please feel free to ask, and I will make sure I post the answer to that in the video description or in the next blog. All right, there's just one modification I need to do. I need to change this. This. I need to make it kind of black, dark a bit, which is this. As for this, so I'm going to remove this too. All right. Okay. Let's wait for that to effect, then we are done. All right, so if you find this very helpful, please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, and I'll do more video on this. And some of you might ask me, how do you test this on your phone if this is working fine? That's no problem. All you just have to do is come here to the top and come to build, then click on generate signed APK, or just come to build a bundle and click on build APK. Then this will be combined to an APK file that is an Android application file, which you can transfer to your phone. Then you can test it on your phone just to see how amazing it works. All right, last before I forget, you want to make sure that this particular feed, the input style is password. I think, okay, yeah, is text password. That will allow whatever text that is being typed there to be changing to asterisk, so that user cannot see what you have entered, because you want to make the what's it called, the password area secured. Thank you, and do have a wonderful time.